It can be interesting to play an old game for the first time that lots of people love. In theory, you're bringing a perspective unhindered by nostalgia, and you can be uniquely qualified to answer one specific question. Greetings everyone, my name is Rymante, and in this video, we're going to see if I think Resident Evil 2 still holds up. There are many different versions of Resident Evil 2 out there, so I feel it's important to state which version this review is based on. That version being the PS1 Classics version from the PlayStation Network that's playable on PS3, PSP, and PS Vita. This version is basically the same content and presentation-wise as the PS1 DualShock version. Resident Evil 2 begins with our two main characters, Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, driving into Raccoon City. Leon is on his way to the police station to start his first day as a rookie cop, when he finds a dead body in the middle of the road and stops to investigate.
What have we got here?
Claire, meanwhile, is looking for her brother Chris Redfield, one of the protagonists from the first Resident Evil. She stops at a diner before starting her search, only to discover that all is not well in Raccoon City.
Hello?
Leon's investigation of the dead body does not fare much better.
What was that? What are these things? All right.
But, as luck would have it, Leon was close to the diner Claire was in.
Wait! Don't shoot!
Get down!
The two meet up, commandeer a police car, and head for the police station, believing it to be safer than just staying on the streets. Unfortunately, the pair somehow forgot to check the back seat for zombies, which results in this, perhaps unintentionally comical, bit of CG. I'm sorry, but that does not look natural at all. Anyway, a zombified truck driver alluded to earlier in the intro forces the pair to split up, and the game begins proper. If you pop in Disc 1 and select New Game, you'll start as Leon in his A scenario. Disc 2 will start you as Claire in her A scenario if you start a new game. Each character has both an A and a B scenario in the game, which has some subtle changes that affect how they progress through the game. Once you complete a character's A scenario, you'll be prompted to save a new file, which will let you begin the other character's B scenario. Certain actions performed in an A scenario will either positively or negatively affect the other character's B scenario, depending on your actions. To top it all off, there is a ranking system upon completing the game, mainly based on completion time and number of saves made. Attending high ranks can unlock lots of hidden goodies. It's a very smartly designed system that makes good use of a small environment with repeated assets, and encourages replayability to uncover those hidden goodies, like super weapons, alternate costumes, and even all new game modes. The progression through the game works something like this. You start in the streets of Raccoon City and make your way to the police station. You solve puzzles in the police station and recover keys, and eventually make your way to the basement. Eventually, you unlock passage to the sewers, which leads to a brief spell at a factory, which then leads to the final showdown at an underground Umbrella laboratory filled with all sorts of unspeakable horrors, etc, etc. There's a nice forward momentum to the progression, and as I played, I was memorizing the layout of each area and I needed to check the map less and less as I went on. I also enjoyed how both Leon and Claire take very different paths to the same areas and met up with different characters along the way. It was a nice shake-up to the formula that made going through the same areas again more interesting than it would have been otherwise. With the exception of the wolf medal in the sewers, seriously, there really needed to be an item glint on that damn corpse, I didn't encounter much trouble with finding important items and solving puzzles. It was all very simple and logical, something which admittedly took me by surprise. I went in expecting to get stuck or die a lot more often than I actually did. Resident Evil 2's soundtrack really grew on me as I played through it. It's surprisingly memorable, with the main police station theme, save room theme, and Birkin boss battle theme standing out in particular. Good thing too, since I'll be hearing some of those tracks quite a lot throughout the game. The soundtrack has certainly aged better than the visuals and the voice work. The voice work is typical old school Resident Evil cheesiness. It's bad, but has a certain charm to it that makes it oddly enjoyable. Maybe it's hearing those voiceovers combined with seeing the awkward animation in cutscenes where everyone's waving their arms all over the place or nodding and shaking their heads.
What was that all about? Running off like that was reckless and stupid. Those zombies are everywhere. Not to mention that thing that got Ben.
I was there, Leon. I know.
Now, whilst I say the voice work is bad, it's actually a considerable step up from the hilariously awful first game.
No! Don't go!
Captain Wesker, where's Chris?
Stop it! Don't open that door!
That said, there is something about certain lines in RE2 that just feel wrong. Take this example from Claire.
Can you go?
What's the matter? Don't you trust me?
Seriously, there is something about the way you say that line that makes me not want to trust you, Claire.
Too bad.
As for the visuals, well, it's a PS1 game. It doesn't look great. Backgrounds are very blurry, and character models have very obvious joint seams and flickering, and the low overall resolution results in some jaggies that could cut your face off. Yeesh. Looking back on this review I've written, it's clear I had more nice things to say about Resident Evil 2 than bad things, so despite it showing its age in a couple of areas, I guess it's safe to say that it does still hold up, at least in my eyes. And you know something else? Whilst I wouldn't say the game is scary anymore, a couple of the jump scare moments I wasn't prepared for did manage to startle me a little simply due to how sudden and loud they are, especially in cases where they happen in areas that previously didn't have them. If anything, finally playing through the original Resident Evil 2 has made me much more excited for the recently announced remake that Capcom is finally doing after the fans have been asking for it for so many years. I can only hope it lives up to the original. Hell, at least we'll finally get 180-degree quick turns back, am I right? I can see myself playing more of the original before the remake comes out though. Stay tuned for a future stream over at www.twitch.tv/RymanteX, where I'll be playing through the Claire A, Leon B path through the game. Until then folks, ta-ta for now.